Hey everyone, welcome back to the fourth and final video of the Transformational Coaching and Marketing series. And today we're going to be talking about six-figure formulas. Now, you know as well as I do that this is not about making six figures. It's about fulfilling your message on the planet and serving the people who are seeking you and your knowledge. But if you want to earn a living doing this or just substantial money doing this, then it's important for you to understand the business concepts. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And I think one of the big questions that a lot of people have is, how does it all work? How is it all actually going to fit together? You know, show me the map, basically. So what I want to share with you, first of all, is one of the best things that Sybil and I ever did. This is back in December of 2006. We're sitting at a Round Robin restaurant, and we had just I think I had just completed a speaking gig, and we had made like $12,000 at that particular speech, and it was like for an hour speech or something. I was so fired up about that. And so then we wanted to have like a planning session. At the time it was just Sybil and I in the business, and so we're sitting there and we're just wanting to map out the goals for the next year. And we were talking about money, like almost everybody does, is how much money do you want to make next year? And I asked Sybil, I said, what's your giggle goal for next year? And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, what amount of money would we have to make you giggle? And I don't remember what she said. I think it was like $100,000, because if you remember, we had just done about 40 the year before, in about 5 or 6 months. And I said, for me, it's $300,000. And so I put down on paper $300,000 as my giggle goal, right? Now, what we did then is we took a look at all the different ways that we were making money at the time, the audio programs that we had, and if I could just do more of these keynote talks. And we had like 12 or 15 different streams, basically. Because at the time, I think I had maybe 10 products, and so we were counting each individual product, and I had like a group coaching program and so forth. And so what we did is we said, all right, well, if here's the goal, what if we did that goal just specifically with this one CD? And I think it was the Erase the Waste CD that we were talking about at the time, which sells then and still today for $47, basically $50. And so he said, well, how much, how many CDs would we have to sell in order to do $300,000? And of course it was like a big number. And then we said, well, what if we do more talks? And if I get really good at talks and I start making like $10,000 per talk, what would we have to do in order to do $300,000? So that was like, 30 of those talks would get me there. And then what if we did I don't know what I'm going to draw here, a phone coaching program. That's my little phone cord. What if we did that phone coaching program? That's $250. And so what we did is we had a bunch of these different streams, and it was all about these different products that we had and what would we need to do for each one of them to make $300,000. Now, individually, each and every one of these, it was very unrealistic to make $300,000, like selling a $50 CD. It just didn't make sense. But when I took a look at all of them, there were a couple of them that actually were kind of possible, or at least it could get us close. And so what it did is it gave us a lot of clarity around what we could put our energy into, and which of those streams would flow off into other streams, and which one would maximize our energy and efforts and so forth. And it was just a really cool exercise, and we went. And as I've told you, the next year in 2007, we did, I think, about $320,000, $330,000 all said and done with offline and online. And then it wasn't until, I think it was probably early 2008, we went back and said, remember Red Robin? We actually sat down and we created a giggle goal around $300,000. And so it was really neat to go back. But the profound piece of this was that there was clarity in each one of those streams, and it really gave us permission to go. And for me, I saw the pieces line up, for the first time, lining together. I think a lot of people know where they are and they know where they want to go, but they don't see how the bridge is going to be built between here and there. So this adds a lot of clarity, to, like I said, giving you that permission for you to know to focus on and so forth. So today what I want to walk you through is a much simpler version of this kind of process, to where you can get more clarity in your business on how you might make six figures in the first year. Now, this is all designed to go from scratch to six figures. Again, the caveat, the asterisk is it's not about making money, but can we actually make a really, successful business and earn a living doing this? And the answer is definitely yes. And what I want to share with you is what I now believe to be the 4 profit pillars of a coaching and speaking and training business. And the first one is seminars. And I'm going to tell you what these all are, and then I'm going to go and explain each one of them in depth on the next page. The second one is products. Look at my handwriting is beautiful right now. The third one is membership. Hopefully you watched video number 2 on the recurring revenue. And then the fourth one is coaching. And these are the 4 pillars that you've got to really put your energy into, especially when you're building your business from scratch. I mean, I'd rather you create a good foundation than try to work your business for a year or 2 and then put these things into place, right? So these are the 4 areas that I would teach you to focus on and to set up in your business. So let's go through each one of them separately. Seminars is, in my experience, seminars is the pillar that most people focus on the wrong way, meaning that they put a lot of energy into the seminars, but they don't position the seminars properly, and they don't know where the people are supposed to go after the seminars, and they just put too much attention on just that one piece of that one chunk, that one pillar. But they're not doing it the right way. And my experience is there's not a whole lot of money to be made in seminars usually until we have this big platform. But when we're first starting out, there's not a whole lot of money to be made in seminars because there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of expenses, there's a lot of marketing, and and the cost of the room, and if you're going to record, and there's a lot of things that go into play. So what I've found is that a lot of people are trying to build a business just on seminars, and I think that's a big mistake. I really do. But let's just isolate it still and say if you were just going to do seminars, how can you get to that 6-figure mark? Let's say you were going to do an introductory seminar for a day or 2 and you were going to price it at $97, right? If you do $97, in order to get to the 100,000 mark, you would need 1,030 people, give or take, to get you to $100,000. So if you put 1,000 people either in a room or do like 5 seminars and get 200 people each or something like that, then you would make $100,000 just off the ticket sales. If you did like a 2 or 3 day event, or you added a little bit more value, you positioned it better, or you spoke to your market, your seeker, you can always sell higher priced products in your market. And let's say you price it at $297. Now that would be a significant difference here. 297 would be let's see, I have the numbers over here so I didn't have to remember all of them. 340 people get you to $100,000. Now that's a lot more doable, I think, for most of you. It's like, I could see, because if people are going to pay $97, there's not a big jump for them to pay $297 if it's positioned a little bit better and you just sell a little bit more value and so forth. But if that's all you were going to do, you can see that you can get to some pretty high dollar amounts just running seminars. Now let's take a look at products. There's all kinds of different products. There's books and audio programs and home study courses and so forth. And what I found is that a lot of people have a ton of uncertainty around products in terms of not really knowing how to create the products or what to put in the products or how to record the audios or how to edit and how to get them all fulfilled and all that stuff. There's a lot of uncertainty in this area because there are a lot of moving parts. I actually have not written a book, but I've done tons of audios and home study courses and all that stuff. I have a product creation blueprint, it's a framework, and it really helps you take where it is that your market is and where you want to help them go, and literally like create all of your products from a single article all the way down to a 12-month, coaching program, all from this one umbrella. It's a blueprint. It take a little bit long for me to explain it here on this video, but it's definitely something that I'll teach you. And so what I'm trying to say is, don't worry. If you don't understand how to do these things yet, the information is actually not that difficult, and I'll share everything that I've ever learned with you guys. So let's say you've got a book. Most books, let's go high end, and let's say that you're going to sell your book for about $20. If you want to make $100,000, that's fairly easy math. You've got to sell 5,000 books, right? And that'll get you to the $100,000. Let's say you do an audio. Now this can be a single audio or a set of audios. And let's say, you know, I would say single audios usually go for around 10 bucks, 20 bucks, and you can sell a set for $50, 97. I know Tiffany has a 4 CD set on Sales Mastery for 97 bucks, and people pay for it all the time because it's really valuable. But let's just say that you've got an audio program for $50. And by the way, I'm bumping these numbers up, especially on these two down here. What I always want you to do is end your prices in sevens. Don't ask me why, it just works. They've done study after study, it just works. So instead of 50, it'd basically be 47 bucks, but it's easier to do 50 here, just for the numbers. And so the easy math on that would be 2,000 sales of whatever this CD is would get you to $100,000. And I think for a lot of people that doesn't really seem, you know, too easy to do, moving 2,000 products. But again, it's giving you a little bit more clarity. But now let's say you've got a home study course. And it's pretty common for a home study course, which is like multimedia. It's videos or audios, and it's got transcripts and handouts and you know, just everything that people could you know, could want from all different angles. And you might have support calls, and you might just really package it all together. And it's really common for home study programs to go for, you know, like $1,000. Especially if you're selling it to your unique market and you're going to help them solve a deep problem for them. $1,000 home study program, or like you know, a longer 6-month or 12-month support system or something like that. $1,000 is not unreasonable at all. Now, you know, these numbers start to get a little bit easier. Now, if you have a $1,000 home study program, now you're only talking about, you know, selling 100 of those things. And what you got to understand is that it's a lot easier, as I said, to sell something higher priced because it's more valuable to your ideal client in your ideal market, that specific person who's seeking your knowledge. It's much easier to sell to them at a higher price. It's easier from a customer service standpoint because they don't usually complain as much as the other people do who just want the $5 and $10 you know, products, and it's just so much better to deal with them. And you'll either take my word for it, or the people that are teaching you this stuff that have gone before you, or at some point in time you'll wish you had started doing that earlier, I just promise you. So the higher price you get, obviously the less you have to do, and it's actually easier to sell, in my opinion. I would rather make $100,000 sales than try to make $2,050 sales. Now a lot of people go after this one because they think it's easier to sell a $50 product, but it's not. So that's the product piece. Let's look at your memberships. Again, we did a whole video on video number 2 about memberships and what to put in there, and you know, how you can create the value and so forth. Let's say you had a $10 membership site. A lot of people want to do an online site. So if you only had $10 or, you know, online program rather, if you only had an online program, you might want to charge like 10 bucks or something for it. And if you had a $10 membership program, well, then you would need 10,000 people. It would be 10,000 times 10, but you got to remember that this is over the course of a year. So basically, we're going to multiply this times 12 months. And then $10 times 12 months, you're going to need, I think it's 850 people. So if you have 850 people in a $10 membership program, you'd be generating $100,000. Now there's more things to consider here because people fall out of those programs. So, you know, it's not just 850 sales. You're going to have to keep 850 people, and you might have to dump more people into your program to do that. But it's not as difficult, obviously, to keep people who are just paying 10 bucks as long as you're delivering value. Let's say you're going to do like an integrated offline and offline something, and you're going to charge 37 bucks, which is what our membership program costs. If you do the same thing times 12 months, then this one, you only need 200, what are the numbers? 230, actually. Only 230 people at, I didn't even know this when I just did this the other day. I was like, I mean, because that's our number right there. We only need 230 people to have $100,000 of recurring revenue, you know, coming in every month. That's not every month, but over the course of a year. That's pretty cool, because what it ends up being is, it ends up being $8,333 per month. We'll just round it up. So if you could generate $8,500 a month, you're at the $100,000 mark. And then the last thing I want to talk about is coaching. Now, coaching is going to give you the highest profit almost all the time because there's not any overhead, depending on how you're marketing it. But you can go out and get a coaching client for free at no cost whatsoever. You go out and you network and you get into a conversation, you get them on the phone and talk to them about what their issues are and show them how you can solve them. And you can get a coaching client for literally no money out of pocket. And then there's no overhead and you're just selling your time basically. And when I first started out, when I first started to sell a program instead of hourly coaching, which you have to do. This is one of the things that I have right here. No hourly rates. That says hourly. No hourly rates. Okay, if you make your coaching program about what people are paying on an hourly basis, it will be difficult. Right? Remember, I don't know what video I said it on, but remember it's about selling the view from the hill, not selling the hill. Don't sell them how many sessions you're gonna take them through. Don't tell them how much they're gonna be paying on a per session basis. Sell them the outcome. Sell them the view from the top of the hill, and then you're really gonna be putting together packages and programs for people. And so they're buying a chunk, they're buying a result, they're buying an outcome. They're not buying an hourly coach. I promise you, if you make it about your hourly rates, you're going to find people who just want to skimp and they want to, skip certain weeks and they only want to do 1 week this month, and it's going to be a nightmare. I lived that nightmare for about 4 months before I'm like, this sucks. I hate it. I was chasing people. It sucked. And finally I said, enough is enough. I'm actually going to pay attention to everybody who's telling me to put together programs, and I put together a program. And the first time I put it together, it was for $2,500, and that's what I would suggest. It was for $2,500. Now, some of you right away might be going, there's no way. I wouldn't pay $2,500. First of all, this is a 6-month program, okay? So $2,500 for 6 months. There was a payment plan. People were gladly paying $497 a month is what I think we were charging them, gladly. And it's all about value. It's all about understanding where they are and helping them see that you've got a solution to their pain. And they will pay this. So this is actually a very reasonable amount, $2,500 for 6 months. And I was surprised. I was literally shocked at how many people wanted to sign up for that program. Like 5 times as many people wanted to sign up for the higher price program than when I was selling it at like $150 an hour with no contracts and you can quit at any time. And I was really attracting a lot of negative energy and a lot of desperation. As soon as I said, this is the magnet, this is where I can help you go, it's gonna take 6 months and I'm only looking for serious people who are committed, a lot of people started to show up. Now let's run the numbers on this. If you put together a $2,500 coaching program, now you're only looking at 40 clients. 40 clients over the course of a year put you at $100,000 if that's all you did was just simply coached people. Now 40 clients at like half an hour per session per week, that's 20 hours a week. And that puts you at a 6-figure mark. Now, it's not just so simple that you're going to hang your shingle, or I forget whatever the phrase is, like you're just going to tell people, hey, I'm now a coach, and you're getting a rush of 40 people wanting to pay you. So I'm not trying to dumb it down and say all you got to do is say I'm a coach and you're going to get your coaching spots filled. But it's also not as difficult as what you might think. And we're not talking about a whole lot of people here. So now the other model that you can look at in the coaching space is going to a group model. Now over here, if you have a group program, you're going to have more leverage because you're going to be helping a lot of people at once instead of just the one-on-one. I mean, there's no overhead here, but you are selling your time and you're basically creating a job. You're going to have a little bit more leverage with a group program, but either way, whichever you go or a combination of two, when you get serious, you understand how to package your coaching specifically, and you understand and you have confidence in what you can do for people, which is why I said earlier, you've got to have clarity for yourself and you've got to have the abilities to clear other people too. Get certified in something that will give you those deeper skills, because then your value goes through the roof, right? Now, just for a point well, not a point of reference, but a teaching point here. Last year, I decided I wanted to give myself a raise, and I also just wanted to test out shortening the process. So what I did is overnight, I raised this price to $3,500, and I shortened the duration to 6 months. So I was now charging people $1,000 more and cutting their time, by a third. And here's what I found. There was no difference in conversion rates. There was no more questioning about people saying, well, how much am I really paying? Because I was still selling the view from the hill. And it didn't matter how long it took. And what I found for me is 6 months just seemed like it was dragging, we were dragging it out too long, and I could do most of the work in a 4-month period of time. So I found that people were actually more engaged during those 4 months, and we actually maximized our time together better. But the bottom line is, when you're selling the hill, when you're selling the hill, it's difficult, but when you're selling the view, it's much easier, and you can charge a lot of these numbers. Now, those are each of these pillars isolated, but the true key is that they've got to all be integrated, right? It's all about integration. And in my business, this is my model. Your model might not be the exact same as mine, because I think everybody's model is going to be different based on their strengths or their fears or conflicts or the time they have, or just, whatever they really truly desire. So I'm not saying that your model has to be the same, but your model will incorporate these 4 pieces. So for me, what I found is that it was all about integration. And even though I said seminars is a really low profit margin for us, it's the selling pod. Meaning, when I do seminars, all of these other things happen. So we put people into our membership programs, we sell products, and we sell coaching out of seminars. So even though seminars are not giving us a lot of profit by themselves, they're creating most of our profit. In 2008, I mentioned in one of the videos before that in 2008, we just plummeted because I unplugged from my income source. And this is what I was talking about. I unplugged from doing the seminars, and I didn't realize that in unplugging from doing the seminars, I was thinking I was just not going to spend time on the road anymore, but I was still going to be getting coaching clients and selling products. But what it took me a while to realize is it's so much easier to do all these things when I'm at seminars. It is much harder to sell your coaching services just on the internet, let's say, than it is from when you're on stage. I would say that when people sign up for coaching after they've seen me on stage, there's probably like a 90% conversion rate. Meaning, when people say, I want to coach with you, about 90% of them or more sign up. But if people just come to me on the internet and they haven't seen me live, they're not familiar with the message, I haven't been able to help them for 8 hours of their life at a live event, then I don't know what the numbers are because I don't track the differences, but I guarantee you it's probably 30 to 40%. In 2008, I was getting really frustrated because I couldn't get the coaching clients like I was in 2007. I didn't realize, because it wasn't coming off of a pod. It wasn't coming off of that trampoline effect, basically, because I had unplugged from the seminars. So for us, this is what makes it all go. It's all this integrated process. And I want to share with you September of 2007. That's the best month that we've ever done. We had $100,000 in sales that month in September of 2007. Now, we didn't get $100,000 in the bank. We only had, I think, like $49,000 in the bank. I mean, I don't mean to sound, crude or rude or whatever. I mean, I say only $49,000. That was way more than I'd ever made as a teacher or any given year, in my entire adult life. And we made it in 1 month. But there was actually $100,000 in sales, paper sales, because some people got on paper, payment plans or what have you. But in September of 2007, I did 4 events, and 3 of the events were total loss leaders. They were actually $20 events. And for instance, one of them was in Vancouver, I remember. It was a $20 event in Vancouver. So I fly up to Vancouver. Obviously, there's expenses for me to stay. There's, probably, I think at that time, I'm thinking there was about $1,000 for the room for that day. I rented audio, which is probably another $500. And I served them lunch. Now, I probably lost money just serving them lunch. I think I was probably getting charged like $21.50. I was charging them $20 to get in the room. But it was all intentional. I wanted the most amount of people in that room that I could possibly have because I knew the back end. Okay, I knew what was going to happen on the end. So we had about 80 people at $20. I lost probably $2,000 on the event itself, just on the front end of the event. But I think I had about 20 people that signed up for coaching. I had, a bunch of people. I was probably about 15 people that signed up for coaching. I had a bunch of people that bought products. On the back end of that event, it was about a $30,000 income take. It wasn't full profit, but it was about $30,000, even though we totally lost money on the front end. Now, all of those people actually got a 2-month free trial in the membership program as well. And at that time, we were tracking at about 2.5 paid months. When people got our trial membership, 2.5 months they would stay in and pay. So if you add that to the mix, it ended up being like about $350 to $400 per person in the room on the back end. And so what I find that a lot of people are trying to do is trying to get all that money from people on the front end, but what I'm telling you, it's much easier to make the sales after you've transformed their lives to some level and then invite them to go deeper and play along more. And it's just so much easier to make those sales on the back end. So at that time, I was willing to lose money. Now, I'm no longer willing to lose money on the front event, so I don't want you to do that like I was. But it taught me a whole lot of how my seminar is positioned. And you got to know where your seminar is in the whole grand scheme of things. Your seminar is probably not at the end of the cul-de-sac. In other words, it's not the very last thing for people to do. It should be in the beginning of the funnel, basically, where they can go off into coaching, they can go, membership program, they can buy products and all that stuff. Now, you've got to understand the back end of how all that works. And you've also got to understand the 3 P's of really making those seminars profitable. And one of them is positioning. You've got to position the seminar itself. You've got to position yourself as an expert. You've got to position your offer. There's a lot of positioning that's going on from a bunch of different angles. You got to understand how to package. Part of that is just packaging the seminar, but part of that is packaging your products or packaging your coaching programs. And then you also understand, you got to understand how to pitch. How do you actually sell at the end of the event? And this is one of the things that creates like a high level of anxiety for a lot of people, because just the sales process in general is difficult. And I remember at that Vancouver event, it was the first time that I offered this $2,500 program. I was scared poopless, right? Normally I use a different word. I was scared out of my mind when people asked me how much this program was. I wish I would have had it on tape, because it is a lesson in how not to show up with certainty on the stage. But what blew me away is, even though I was scared to say the number, because in my mind I really, hadn't gone there yet, still like 15 people signed up for it because they saw the value of the magnet, even though I had no certainty in my body whatsoever. But you have to understand all this stuff, and there's a formula to this, and I'll teach you the whole formula. It's totally evolved over the last 6 years in our business. And what's really important to understand is, let me just share this with you. What's important is that you reverse engineer the whole process. In other words, if you want people to walk through this door at the end of your seminar, they have to be prepared to go through that door. They have to know what's on the other side. They have to be ready and wanting what's on that other side. And they don't come into your seminar wanting what's on the other side of that door. So you have to get them from where they come into the room to right in front of the door, hands on the handle, ready to turn and say, "Let me in." That whole process it has to be very intentional, and you've got to reverse engineer it. You have to know where you need people to be. You've got to get them there throughout the whole course of the seminar. Otherwise, your pitch is going to be totally incongruent with where they are, or it's going to be confusing. It's just not, it's not going to be the ideal next step that just makes sense for them to keep going. So this reverse engineering process has to be intentional. You've got to put time onto it. And for most people, it takes a while to understand that. So, my intention obviously is to help you shorten your learning curve and share all the formulas and all that stuff that have worked and haven't worked for us. And I want to also share another resource with you, because part of this whole process, understanding the positioning, packaging and pitching and all that stuff, it takes some experience. It takes a different level of perspective and so forth. And I have somebody on my team now. I'm really excited about it. Some of you already know about her. She's been working with us for about the last 4 months. And her name's Sarah. And she's been running a lot of Tony Robbins' sales campaigns and marketing campaigns and QVC campaigns. And she's been doing a lot of the stuff at his events for the last 10 years. And she's now working, she jumped ship, and now she's working for us full time. And she's another really, really valuable resource that I want to share with you to help you position your products, package them, and really the pitching part. She's seen one of the world's best pictures in terms of Tony Robbins. And that doesn't mean that you have to be just like him and match his energy, because I mean, I'll never be like him. But in terms of creating the whole campaign and creating the positioning and understanding the value piece and all that stuff, you know, she's just really added a different dimension to our business. And she's going to be a major part of our year-long coaching program that I'll tell you about in a second. But all of this stuff just has to, you can't just do this unintentionally. You can't just trip and fall and hope that these things, you know, just fall into place. You're going to struggle that way. Now, the other thing I want to say is, if you take a look at all these numbers, for some of you, these numbers might be really big. For some of you, you might not need $100,000. You might just need $25,000 to totally change your life. For some of you, you need, you know, $500,000 in order to make this a career. So your numbers might be completely different than this, but I at least wanted you to see a game plan and how to create a framework for how this is going to work in your life. So if you need to amend these numbers, then that's fine. But again, you know, it's not about making six figures. Truly, we've crossed six figures, like I said, in 2007, and every single year we're multiple six figures. And I honestly can say that without any energy around it whatsoever, because it really truly doesn't matter. It's about fulfilling your message. It's about serving your seeker. It's about, you know, the money does nothing more than fuel your message and helps you propel your influence. That's what this money is about. And so the more money you can make just means the more expansion you can have and the bigger platform you can have, so that you can help more people. And I know that's kind of cliche and it might sound kind of airy-fairy, but that's really truly what it is about. It's what drives me, and I hope it's what drives you. Now, if you really want to, you know, make a run at this, if you really want to earn a living doing this kind of work and fulfilling your message, or your mission rather, you know, sharing your message on this planet, and if I resonate with you and any of this stuff that we've been teaching in this whole video series, if all this stuff, you know, is making a lot of sense, you want to go to the next level, then let me share with you what we're going to be doing this month, or this year rather, starting next month, with a full year-long coaching program where I want to help you implement all of the stuff that we've been talking about, plus so much more over the course of 12 months over the course of your first year, and really shorten your learning curve and get you much further, much faster than you would if you were just kind of going on your own. And so what we're going to do, and this is really new knowledge for me, is we're going to help you navigate through what I believe to be these three phases of business, especially in the coaching space. And the first phase is clarity. Well, there's 3 C's in this first phase. One of the C's is clarity. And we've talked about that. You've got to have clarity around your message. You got to have clarity around your mission. You got to have clarity around your purpose. You got to have clarity about who it is that you're seeking. You got to be clear about what they want. You got to be clear about how to package it to them. You got to be clear about how to deliver to them. There's a lot of clarity that needs to happen from a foundational standpoint before you can even get in motion. And we're going to go through a lot of that together for sure. The second C is competence. Specifically, what I want to teach you is how to be a competent coach. You know, we talked about, I think it was video number 1, what are the ways that you can show up as a confident coach, and how can you help the most amount of people possible? And when it comes to being competent as a coach, especially as a transformational coach, what I'm talking about is helping people identify what their true blocks are, what their true conflicts are, what their limiting beliefs are, the things that will really change the game for people. It's not about giving them how-to information. Most people know that stuff. It's about helping them implement it in their life. It's about helping them get out of their own way and stopping them from sabotaging and repatterning some of their habits. And those things are an internal game. And I want to teach you what I've learned, what happened to me 6 years ago, and what I've been, devoting the last 6 years of my life, is how do you help people move through some of those belief barriers and belief blocks. And when you have that level of competency as a coach, it's going to change your message. It's going to change the questions that you ask. It's going to change your magnetism. It's going to change your confidence. And it's really going to change, this third C is certainty. It's going to change how certain you show up in your body, how certain you show up on stage in front of the camera. When you can show up certain and you can speak a good game in terms of what you can help people do, and you're very clear with that communication, you will be a magnet and people will be drawn to you, and they're going to want you to help them. So this is the first piece that honestly I think most people miss because they just want to jump to marketing. They just want to do seminars, or they just want to do audio programs. They just want to sell, or they just want to coach, but they don't have this foundational piece yet. And until you have this foundational piece, you're always going to be restricted. I know I'm going over some of the things that I spent a lot of time talking about in these other videos, but you got to understand how important this is, that first phase of your business. The second phase is profitable. We got to get profitable as quickly as possible. Unless that's not important to you. If you have a ton of money and it's not about even becoming profitable, then that's great. You're probably only in the top 1 or 2%, but that's awesome. And you can invest a lot of your money because you don't need a return right away. But most people, especially if they're transitioning from one career into this career, you've got to turn a profit. You got to turn a profit as quickly as possible. And what I've found is that most people are trying to turn profits in ways that are going to take too long, or it's just a lot harder than what they could do and get to profit faster. Now, the only reason you're going to get to profit faster is so you can expand your reach. So it's not about putting dollars in your bank account so you can consume and buy stuff for yourself. It's about expanding your reach, but you got to have that profit. You got to have that positive cash flow in order to give you permission and give you more confidence. Like Jack teaches the poker chip theory, right? The more poker chips you have, the more risks you can take. And this is where you start getting more of those poker chips so that you can invest and you can get even higher returns on your investment and so forth. So we're going to talk a lot about profitability. And then the third phase is simply expand. And ideally, I want to get you through phase 1 and 2 as fast as possible and then spend the rest of your career expanding. Now, you're always going to circle back and re-clarify and get more competence and get certified in other things if that's what you want to keep doing. You're going to keep getting more certain, and you're going to hopefully focus on the profits and get more and more profitable. But this is where you want to spend the most of the rest of your career, is just expansion. And we're talking about playing with other people in this space. It's more about collaboration than it is competition. How can you have other people sharing your stage or mailing out to their folks on your behalf, or just sharing your message and helping you get to those higher levels of platform and influence as quickly as possible. But honestly, a lot of people are learning how to do this way too soon. If you take a look at all the models out there, if you take a look at what Jack's doing or what Tony Robbins is doing or what Brendon Burchard is doing, if you take a look at some of the people that are really highly, not profitable, certainly profitable, but highly visible, and you just try to model what they're doing, chances are you're not ready to do that. You're trying to do like high school, geometry, but you're still in 3rd grade math. And if you're still in elementary school and you haven't crossed middle school and you're trying to do high school work, it's just never going to work because you're not prepared to go there. And I'm certainly not in high school in this game. I'll guarantee you that. I may be, 3rd or 4th grade at the most. But what I realized is that when I was trying to implement this high school stuff, this, more evolved, higher level, way too advanced, it was tough for me. I didn't have all these, the certainty pieces and so forth. So that's what I really want to help you do, is layer your phases into your business to where you're profitable, you're competent, you're efficient. And let's maximize each one of those phases, and let's get you through them as quickly as possible instead of you trying to jump to a level that you're not ready to go to. And actually, it's very dangerous if you do that in your business and you're not able to sustain it, whether we're talking about a systems issue or a message issue, or because like if you jump to a big stage, you're not ready for it, you can, create that first impression that you can never get back. So it's important for you to be ready to go here. Now, having said all that, it doesn't have to take a lot of time. I'm not trying to scare you here. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, but you have to be intentional with it. So that's what I want to help you do, is move through these 3 phases of your business. Now, here's something that I'm really passionate about, simply because of my experience. Don't window shop. Don't window shop. And here's what I mean by that. One of the worst things you can do when you're trying to build a business, either from scratch or you're relatively new in this business, is for you to window shop, for you to just take a look at what this person's doing and take a look at what this person's doing, and then you're going to try to put all those models together on your own. That's one of the worst things you can do, because you're going to struggle. What will better benefit you, and what will be probably the most maximized return on your investment, The best investment you could ever make is to get a coach who can help you walk through these phases so that you don't try to just window shop, model, fall down, wait for the scabs to, sorry, I dropped my pen, wait for the scabs to heal, and then try to put yourself back together and, try it all over again. What I can guarantee you is that that approach is going to be slow. I don't know if you just noticed this, but I just slyly picked up that pen with my toe and I got it off the ground. I'll teach you how to do that too. I forgot my train of thought. Oh, one of the worst things you can do is just try to model everybody and do it all on your own. Now, if I resonate with you and my program is a great fit for you, then let's go. If you don't want to work with me, find somebody else that you resonate with. And I'm just telling you this as a friend, not as a sales guy that's trying to sell you something. Find somebody that you resonate with. You will never, ever regret you jumping in there and learning how to swim with somebody else. It's important to, latch on to a train that's already going. Instead of you trying to build your train and learn how to get your train moving and know what tracks to go on, latch on to somebody who can teach you from a mentor perspective. Do this, don't do that. You're going to waste your money there. This is what I'm doing that's now working. And find somebody who's still in the game, basically, that can teach you the stuff that's working now. And I guarantee you, that will shorten your learning curve tremendously. So this is my biggest piece of advice to you as a friend, is don't window shop. Get somebody that's going to help you and hold you by the hand and get you where you want to go faster. Because I don't want you to end up like where a lot of people end up is they try to do it on their own, they fall down, they struggle, and then they create a business that doesn't work. And eventually they quit and their message dies inside of them. I think that's a real travesty. So get the ego out of the way if it's an ego thing. If it's a financial thing, understand any dollar amount that you put in is going to be 5 to 10 times returned if you find a good program. And so the financial piece should not be a part of it. It's all about how can you get your message out to your seekers faster. And I promise you, it's not going to be by trying to figure it out on your own. I guarantee you that. Now again, if I'm not the one for you, then coach with somebody else. Coach with Tiffany, coach with Deb. I know there's a lot of people that have programs very similar that are going to, want to help you shorten your learning curve. And I'm just standing up and saying, you know what, get one of them. Okay? I just happen to be one of the choices, but get one of them if you want to get your message out in a bigger, quicker way. All right? Enough on that. Now, let me tell you a little bit more of the details of this coaching program. It's all about transformational coaches. If you want to be a coach, if you want to get the knowledge and the skills of helping people change their limiting beliefs and yours as well. I mean, we've all got conflicts and limiting beliefs ourselves. So one of the most important things is get those skills so that we have the awareness on from a personal perspective. But if you want to show up and have that kind of influence and leadership and significance in other people's lives, then get certified with some of this belief change work. There's only a few out there. I talked to you a little bit about that before, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But let me teach you about or share the details about what I'm going to do this year, and it's going to start next month in February. It's going to be very similar to the setup for Train the Trainer. There's going to be 3 live events, right? The first one is going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going to be February 21st through the 25th. It's a 5-day event. And at this first event, it's going to be all coaching, competency, and clarity of message. So we're going to be talking about how, what can you do to coach people through from a skill set perspective? What can you do to coach people through their issues? I've done a lot of work in NLP. I'm certified in NLP. I've done a lot of stuff with Jack, obviously. I've done a lot of, Byron Katie's work. I've done a lot of stuff with Deb, although I haven't gotten certified by her, but, a lot of stuff is rubbing off on me. I've just really plugged into this whole belief change world for the last 6 years. And what I want to teach you, I want to give you a framework, basically, of how you can show up as a coach and how can you, as quickly as possible, help your clients get through their issues to the other side of where it is they want to go. And I want to give you a framework for that. Now, I wish I would have had this when I was a coach starting out. I wish I would have had a coach, like a coaching framework, like a cheat sheet that said, if somebody has this issue, what are the questions that I can ask them that will probably get them to the answer that they're seeking inside or get me to the conflict? And then what tool do I have to deal with that conflict? And so I've been putting that together over the last year and a half, and it's a framework that you can use. And I don't want you to always coach with this, Because I think as you get more and more competent, as you learn from other sources too, you're not just going to always show up with this cheat sheet. But in the beginning, I'm telling you, that can be a really, really powerful resource for you to say, these are the questions to ask. When people have these kinds of conflicts, these are the tools I can use to help them get through that. So if they've got a fear of failure or they've got, some issues from the past, one of the things that stops a lot of coaches is I don't know what to say. I mean, what if somebody shows up and they tell me they've been raped? Or what if somebody shows up and they say, they want to spend more time with their family, or they show up and they're afraid of the phone, or whatever it is? What do I say? That's one of the core fears. So I want to take that fear away from you and literally give you a framework that you can follow so that you can help your clients, even more. So we're going to spend the majority of the first 5 days on coaching. I'm going to teach you, almost everything I've known and learned and used in the NLP world framework specifically for coaching. I'm not going to teach you the entire curriculum of NLP. I'm just going to teach you the chapters that really fit for coaching. And we're going to do a lot of exercises in the room. And I want you to have a high level of confidence. And the more practice you have with this coaching, the easier it's going to be for your message to get more and more clarified as well, because you see how certain things can be reframed for people. You see some of their solutions as you're going through it yourself. And then you're going to go through a lot of your own internal stuff through the whole process. There's going to be a lot of partner exercises, where you're practicing doing the coach, but you're also at the same time being coached by somebody else who's practicing when the roles are reversed and so forth. So this is going to be a huge cleansing and clearing experience for you personally, as well as you learning the skills to do this for other people. And then we're also going to be talking about that profit piece. How can you get profitable as quickly as possible? Now here's my bold claim, my big bold claim. After that first event, I believe that you will be 100% ready. You'll be 100% ready to coach people. You'll be 100% ready to start attracting clients, and you'll be 100% ready to start getting profitable very, very quickly. And if you don't think that's the case, we've got a guarantee on the program. If you don't think that's the case when you leave Las Vegas, if you don't think you're 100% ready, you've got the tools to at least get profitable from the beginning as fast as possible, then just tell us and we'll give you all your money back. That's my intention for this very first event in Las Vegas. And we're also going to have a lot of support calls in between the seminars. We'll do one call even before this very first meeting. So this is not just 3 events. It's support throughout the entire year. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff together when we're live in person, but then we're also going to be doing stuff over the phone. The second event, I'm not going to talk as much about the second 2 events because it doesn't matter so much until we get to that place. But the second event is going to be a lot on getting your message in motion online. How do you get a lot of momentum online? My intention is to actually have a video camera there. We're going to have audio recording equipment there. We're going to have maybe some editing. We might even bring all these lights. But my intention is for you to leave this event with a video series that you're going to offer on your website, for you to have a website done, for you to be set up to attract leads, for you to be getting traffic to your website. My intention is that we do it there in person, and when you leave that event, you've got stuff in motion. I don't want to just teach you how to do it and then expect you to go home and do it, because generally that doesn't happen. I want to actually get it done so that when you leave on May 12th, your website is up. You've got people coming to your site. They're already opting into your email list, and you're starting to create more of your influence online. We're also going to be talking about, we're going to mastermind together. What's the next step for you? We'll help you clarify your message, and this is where you've gotten to in the last few months, and what are some opportunities that you may not be seeing, or how can we polish some things that you're already looking at doing, and really just get you in motion. That's my whole goal at the end of the second piece, is to really have some seriously effective and efficient systems in place that you're really in motion. And then the third meeting of the year is all about expansion, right? We talked about that last piece is expanding. So we're going to talk about, what partners could you reach out to? What are some of the ways that you can package your message so that you can do launch campaigns, so you can get affiliates. We're bringing somebody on the team that's been behind some of the multiple 6-figure launches in the industry over the last couple of years. She's an incredibly valuable resource, so we're going to be learning from her as well. I already mentioned JVs and affiliates and so forth. So that's kind of the layout of the logistics of the seminars, at least. As I said, there's going to be coaching throughout. And it's a full year-long program. My intention is to take a very small amount of people. This is only for the Canfield Train the Trainer group, by the way. My intention is to take a very small amount of people from the Train the Trainer crowd and help them go through all of these phases as quickly as possible. And I'll be totally transparent with you. One of my reasons for doing that is because I want to open up this market. I've become so passionate about helping coaches begin their business from the start. And I want to open up this market, and I want to have success stories. So I want a handful of people, whether it's 2, 5, 10, I don't know, but I want a handful of people that is, literally a case study that we can show people, and I can learn as well along the way in an entire year. And it's actually going to be 2 years, but I'm going to explain that to you in a second. So if this is resonating with you, let me give you a little bit more detail. Some of the extra benefits that I want you to think about is, number one, you're going to benefit from all of my coaches. I'm really plugged into Brendan Burchard. I'm really plugged into Max Simon. I'm really plugged into Clay Collins. I shared a little bit about Clay's site with you on one of the videos. I'm plugged into a lot of people right now, and I'm not saying that I'm just going to give you all their information and infringe on copyrights and stuff. But what I'm saying is that I'm plugged into a lot of these people, and so all that knowledge as it comes down and we implement into our business, I'm going to be sharing it with you specifically in the transformational coaching space. A lot of this information is more general in nature, and we almost have to translate it into the coaching world. And so you're going to be plugging into, all of my network of coaches as well. You're also going to have a lot of coaching help, meaning, we're going to create a community, a very small community of people supporting each other that say, when I have a client that's doing this, does anybody have any ideas on what I can do with this particular person? And I will be providing a lot of that help. Sarah will be providing a lot of that help, and she's been coaching for 5 years on top of the stuff that she's been doing with Tony at his events and stuff. And you're going to learn from each other, So we're always going to keep circling back to the coaching piece and continue to get more competent and more confident. And again, this is a resource that I just wish I would have had people to kind of bounce ideas off of. Why don't you try this exercise, or why don't you try this exercise, and so that you shorten your learning curve around that as well. Another piece, and this is a huge piece, is your inner game. I've been spending the last 6 years of my life coaching people around their conflicts and their beliefs and their fears and their sabotaging habits. So along with how to create the business and how to market and how to get clarity, along with a lot of the how-to information, I also want to be a resource for you to clear up any of the internal stuff. When you step into this space, when you're in front of the camera, or when you're going to get onto bigger stages, or you're going to go out and speak in front of people, most of us get nervous, or most of us, have a lot of fear, or most of us have, issues that just get in the way. And if that doesn't get cleared up, you don't have a chance, basically. And I would say probably 95% of the people who are certified in coaching, the people who have the marketing knowledge, the people who have all the tools in place, but don't build a business, it's because of those internal conflicts, those fears, the lack of certainty, the questions of, I don't know what to do. It's the internal game that really needs a lot of work. So we're going to work on that continually throughout the whole year. You're going to see me open up a brand new market. It's not just me saying, hey, this is what I would do if I started over again. This is what I'm going to do as I start over again. I have no platform. I have no experience whatsoever. I have no positioning in this market. So I'm going to be a totally open door. My business is going to be like a glass house that you're going to be able to see in. And I'm sure I'll be coming to you sometimes going, my shirt's all torn up and I got 2 black eyes, and I'm going to go, hey, don't do that, because I just took it on the chin, right? So as I create this new marketing, as I create the platform for this new market, I'm going to obviously be sharing all that stuff with you guys, because a lot of you are in that same space of opening up a brand new market. The other piece is, and I just mentioned this, is my guts to my business, right? There's going to be no secrets. I think in this marketing world and in this just coaching, world, in this industry in general, I think there's a lot of secrecy. Meaning a lot of people either intentionally are not telling us the truth, or unintentionally they're just not sharing everything. And to be really candid and transparent with you, I've been very disappointed with a lot of things when I didn't really understand how the game worked. Whether it's a certain amount of dollars that people made on stage, but I didn't understand. I didn't know that 80% of that money went to promoters or went to expenses, or, and they really didn't bring home $20,000. They brought home $4,000. right? And that's been really disappointing to me, and I've lost some trust with certain people or certain concepts in this industry, and that's just not the way I play. I mean, like I said, this is going to be a glass house. Whatever you want from me, I'll share with you. If you want numbers, and let me talk about money for a second too, because I think there's a big taboo in this industry around money. Society in general, there's a big taboo about talking about money, and that's perpetuating the problem, right? Money is not the game here. Money is to fuel your mission. So I think it's important for us to talk about profits. We got to talk about expenses. I'll share with you anything you want. You want to know what's coming into our books and what's going out? I'll tell you anything you want. You want conversions? You want profits? You want rates? You want what I pay my employees? You want to know what I'm paying Sarah? You want to know what we're paying ourselves? I'll tell you anything you want, because here's my goal. My goal is to help you as much as I possibly can, and secrecy won't help that. So I'm going to open up everything I possibly can with the intention of helping you go further, faster in your business. So there's going to be literally no secrets. And the glass house, like I said, so hopefully that'll really serve you. And then here's the other bonus. I'm going to give you a full extra year as well. So I'm going to give you hopefully a no-brainer investment, but I'm also going to give you a full year. And I'll be honest where this is coming from too. This is coming from, I know I'm going to know a lot more this time next year than I know right now, and I know I'm going to feel really bad if I know good stuff and I didn't know it when you went through the program. I'm going to feel really bad that you don't have that good stuff. So honestly, in order to solve that my own shame or my own internal conflict, or whatever you want to call it, guilt, I'm going to give you an entire second year as well, so you can come back and go through the entire program, because I know I'm going to know, I'm going to learn more stuff, and I'm going to be able to deliver it in a better way, and things that worked and didn't work as I'm a full year into this new market than I am right now. So my way of giving back to you is to basically give you a whole second year for free, that you can come back and go through the entire training as well for my new stuff. Also, just to relayer and relearn some of the things that you need to go through again. You're always going to get more if you go through something a second time. So let's talk about investments. I know this is a really long video, but it's important. You're important. Your message is important, and hopefully you see the value in investing in not just your time and energy and money, but your learning. Investing your learning capacity. I know I'm fumbling my words right here, but you've got to see the value, and you've got to put forth an investment of learning from other people so that you can shorten your learning curve. So here's the investment. You've got two options basically. One option is if you just want to do the group stuff, if you want to go to the 3 seminars, get certified with my coaching framework, all the support, phone calls, and the guts of my business and everything. The investment on that is going to be, hopefully you can see this, it's $4,997, so just under $5,000. And I'm doing this, I'm really selling this to you as a train the trainer opportunity, probably about half of what I'm going to sell it for once we open up this new market, because this is hugely valuable stuff. But at the same time, I really want this to be a no-brainer, and I want a group of train the trainer folks specifically, even if it's just a few. I want a few of you that we can walk through this game together, and I can learn a lot of this stuff as I'm building a new platform and position for myself. So if this is a no-brainer for you, if it's a hell yes for you, then let's go. Let's do it. If you have any concerns about any of this, if you don't know if this will help you where you are in your business, then give me a call. I'll actually give you my cell phone. My direct line is 805-298-2597. Hopefully, I don't know if this is coming through on the camera because it's kind of light, but 805-298-2597. If you're on the fence, if you don't know if this is going to work or serve you, if you have issues with any of the dates or whatever, go ahead and give me a call. And I'm certainly not going to try to talk you into the programs. That's not the way I work, and I want to talk people in this program. But that's one option, is the group option. If you want to go a little bit faster, maybe you just quit your job recently, you got to make this happen quicker, then I do have a platinum option, which is private coaching as well. And so what you would get with that is a full year of coaching with me to help you implement on a weekly basis for the first 6 months, and then every other week after that. But I want to be there to just help implement, because that's where the rubber meets the road, is are you implementing the things that you know and the stuff that you're learning. So if you want me to help you a little bit more, then let's look at a platinum option. And so for basically $5,000 more, you're going to get a full year of private one-on-one coaching. And just for comparison, you know, like I said, I charge $3,500 for 4 months. But in this space right now, when I'm building this platform, I'm totally willing to do that at a much cheaper rate. Number one, for the trainer group, but number two, so that I can get some of those success stories and I can learn the game as well. So it's only an extra $5,000 for a whole year of coaching. And you're going to get emergency calls, you get my private cell phone. Oh, you also get VIP day with that. So one whole day, and we can tack it on to any of the other events. One whole day we'll spend together clarifying a lot of your message, right? Usually those VIP days for me, I generally charge $3,000 if we do it. Just separately, standalone. So that VIP day will be really, really helpful too, and especially if we do it early in the process. So you get a lot of stuff. If you have any questions about it, I know we're going to put information right here on this page. If you have any more questions about it, email me, call me, and you know, we can continue this conversation. Like I said, if it's a hell yes, then let's go and let's do it. If it's a hell no, then don't do it with me, but please find somebody else that's going to help you go further and faster. And here's my last piece of advice for you on this video. It's not about what kind of money you're going to invest. It's not about you know, even your competency to an extent. I mean, certainly that's a piece of this whole game that we're talking about, confidence and so forth. But the most important thing that's going to determine whether you make a significant amount of money and whether you can get to the point where you can earn a living is for you simply to decide that it's a must for you. To decide that you're going to do it. And I know that's, you know, easier said than done, but I promise you that's the missing piece for most people. Most people are what I call unless motivated. They're motivated to do something unless it costs money, unless it takes a lot of time, unless they have to watch hour-long videos, unless they have to travel, unless they do this, or unless. That's going to crush your goals because you're not willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. I want you to be until motivated, not even motivated. I want you to be inspired until you get it done, until you're helping the people that you're here to help. When you've made that decision that there's not an option not to, it's just a matter of how is it all going to come into place, then failure is literally not an option for you. But what I've found is that most people are just like toe dipping into this world. I'm going to do it if it's easy. I'm going to go make 6 figures as a coach if I don't have to work very hard, or if I don't have to pay any money, or if I don't have to do this, or if I don't have to do that. That will not get you where you want to go. You got to jump into the ring and say, I'm in, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of where I have to go, regardless of how long it has to take, because I have a message. And here's what I believe. If your creator put a message inside of you, then this is not your right to share this message. This is not your ability to share this message. This is your obligation to share this message. If you have something inside of you that's going to help people, you are obligated to get that out to the world and share it with as many people as you possibly can. Now, if I'm resonating with you and you want my help, then let's go. If it's not me, find somebody else, but make that decision and get in motion. Hopefully this video has served you. If there's any other questions I can answer, or any other comments you have, please let me know. I'm here to help. I'm here to continue the conversation however I can. Make it a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon.